Hello guys, this is Donald's Movies and welcome to another World of Warcraft Top 5. Now in the past I did the top 5 possible sub-races, but now I'm going to give you my top 5 actual races that should and can be added into the game at some point in the future of World of Warcraft. Now as always, these are just my views, so if you don't agree with it, feel free to leave a comment in the section below, and also if you want to add something to the list, as I do read all of the comments and take everything into consideration. So without further ado, let's just get into the list. Number 5. Furbolgs. Now the Furbolgs are one of the Azeroth's most ancient races, as they have been there since definitely before the Titans. Now the exact timeline is kind of unknown, as Blizzard kinda likes to make that up, but they are said to have been there before the Titans. Now this race actually has a high possibility of being added into the game, as lore-wise definitely it is possible. Now they helped the Night Elves during the War of the Ancients and the Third War, as the Barskin tribe pledged their allegiance to the Horde and the Alliance, and pretty much everyone fighting the Burning Legion. Now they also respect both the Tauren and the Night Elves, and have an actual developed culture, although they aren't as intelligent as some of the other races, so their intelligence is kinda below average, although they're not like too bad. They're not like super primitive. Now, both the Alliance and the Horde communicated with them and asked them to join, but so far they have declined both, even though they're kinda leaning more towards the Alliance. But on the other side, they do respect the Tauren and don't want them as enemies by choosing their allegiance, so they're kind of in a tough spot there. Now, I don't know if you guys remember, but there was a questline in Ashara where there was like an emissary from the Alliance, and you kinda had to sabotage that with the Horde. But so far they're neutral, but if there is an opportunity where they have to choose in the future, we might actually be getting a new playable race, as they definitely have all of the reasons to be added into the game. Number 4. The Tuskarr. Now, even though highly requested by a lot of the players, they have probably the smallest chance of becoming a playable race for two major reasons. The first one is mostly because Wrath of the Lich King is over and Northern isn't even relevant anymore, but it doesn't mean that we will never revisit the zone again, as Outland is a perfect example of that. I mean, we're going to Outland, or at least Draenor, before it became Outland. Now, the other very important reason is that they can't survive for long outside of Northrend and its climate, but we did see a few of them, like the ones at the top of Pandaria, although it is kind of unknown how they actually got there, but it is said that they can live only up to a few days once they leave Northrend. But apart from that, they're friendly to both the Alliance and the Horde, and they do like most of the races, although they don't really like the elves and the trolls that much, or at least they don't really trust them that much. They also have a developed culture, although they don't really have an organized society, and they mostly just operate out of small villages and either work as fishermen and traders and all of that. I think if you ever get like a new Northern expansion, they should definitely be added into one of the factions, or at least be like a factionless race just like the Pandaren. Number 3. Arakkoa. This one was more of a possibility before Warlords of Draenor was announced, as this is the second time we're actually seeing them in an expansion, although this time it is a bit different. On Draenor they have wings and all of that, but they're not playable again, so I don't think they will really introduce them for the third time, although everything is possible. Now the Arakkoa are generally quite evil, but actually quite intelligent, as some people compare their intelligence to the gnomes, and they also have a developed society and a lot of the lore, and even could fly before. So they do have all of the materials needed to be a playable race, and before they also helped the Alliance find the Horde, but that wasn't because they like loved the Alliance, but more because they wanted to get revenge on the Horde, and that was during the events after the Second War. But even though it would be awesome, I do kinda see a small chance for them to be a playable race in the future, but as I said, it is a fantasy world, so everything is definitely possible, and they can add all sorts of stuff to the game. Number 2. Naga. Now this one is the most possible and maybe even relevant with the new rumor about the Eye of Ashara, and if you want to learn more about it, you can watch my previous videos as I talked about all of my speculations about that expansion. But this race has been in speculation since pretty much the start of World of Warcraft, and Chris Metzen even actually said that they will be playable in the future. But then again, I won't really look at it too much, because they promised a lot of stuff that they haven't really fulfilled. So that doesn't mean like they will definitely be in the future, but they did actually kinda say that. The Naga actually have quite a developed culture and were Night Elves once, and they may even be really relevant after Warlords of Draenor, so there could be a perfect opportunity to add them in the future. Although one of the problems is that they can't really equip boots, as they don't have legs. Instead they have like the tail thing. but they can always make like a new sort of a model that can fit the standard of the playable races. And another problem is that a lot of them are evil and almost pretty much everyone hates them, especially the Night Elves. But the same was for the Forsaken, and they joined the Horde, so they can be like the new Forsaken. Now a scenario that I see is they can be like another tribe of the Naga, and they can split apart from the Ashara, which would pretty much be Scourge if this was the Forsaken's case. And then they could join the Horde or the Alliance and become playable, although they would definitely be barely tolerated. Now, so far that is the best way to go about it, and I do actually feel like they will be added as a playable race at some point in the game, although nothing is really known at this point. And lastly, number 1, the Ogres. Now, the Ogres are a really unfortunate case. They were supposed to be a new race in Cataclysm, but they were replaced by the Goblins in the last moment. And they have also been seen in the Horde since Foundation pretty much, and have been helping the Horde, yet they aren't really playable. They do have a lot of lore and a developed culture, and used to be a pretty big deal on Draenor, as you will be able to tell from Worlds of Draenor. Now an issue though is that we've never seen a female ogre, although that can easily be added. Now the main issue with that is that many people would probably not choose to play the female ogre, just like it happened with the dwarf female in the past, but I definitely don't think that would be too much of a problem. And I do see them as an awesome race, even though a lot of people might not think of that. So I do feel like they will be playable at some point in the future in World of Warcraft. Since they're already in the Horde, I don't see why they shouldn't be added as a playable race. Alright, and that is all I have for this list. Now, I didn't include the races like the Genius and the Hosen, as they probably won't be playable, as they added them as sort of a helper race in Mists of Pandaria, and probably won't be that relevant in the near future. Now, do leave your own suggestions and which races you would like to see in the future, and don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe, as it really helps out the channel and keeps the videos going. And also check out my Twitch.tv stream, as I stream there a few times a week, multiple games, and you can also ask me all sorts of questions. Thanks so much for taking your time to watch this video, and see you next time.